My name is Erin Rosen. I'm from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Today, I'm going to be talking about Dr. Diamond's research on sexual fluidity and how I've integrated it both in my sexual and personal life. Her research in sexual fluidity shows that for some people, sexual orientation isn't necessarily fixed throughout our lifetime. Attractions can evolve, shift, or vary depending on relationships or life stages. Also, this doesn't mean sexuality is a choice, and it doesn't mean everyone experiences sexual fluidity. It's just one pattern among the rich diversity of human sexuality, and just happens to resonate with me and my experience with my own sexuality. My early understanding of sexuality is the idea that everyone must pick a sexual orientation and stay in that box. SHA's Exceptional Summits, the coursework, and their social media pages have helped shift my views and open new ways to explore my sexuality and relationship dynamics. During my first Exceptional Summit, Dr. Diamond presented her research on sexual fluidity. Her revolutionary study started in 1995, at a time when people historically identified themselves as heterosexual, homosexual, or bisexual, and that it was inherent to be attracted to one gender or the other, or both. Her study was motivated by the lack of research in women's experiences. Her study challenged the assumptions of that era and led her to developing the concept of sexual fluidity. During her 10-year study, she followed about 100 women, interviewing them every 2 years to track their changes in their sexual attractions, behaviors, and identities. She did not use a set of yes-no questions to determine an answer. Her open-ended interview approach was designed to track women's romantic and sexual lives over time. Part of that goal was to understand how women conceptualize, define, and make sense of their attractions, behaviors, and the label that best describes their sexual identity. Some of her questions covered various topics, and they included: how do they self-identify their sexual orientation at different times in their lives, and do these labels change over time? Who have they had sexual experiences with, both same-sex and other sex, and how frequently? Who are you falling in love with, and how do they form strong emotional bonds with regardless of sexual activity? How do they experience sexual and or romantic attraction to men versus women? And how does the intensity or focus of this attraction fluctuate? What factors do they believe influenced shifts in their attractions, behavior, or identity over the time of the study? Her work has identified that emotional connections, relationship opportunities, and social context all influence how fluidity presents itself. The distinction between sexual orientation, meaning who you are attracted to, and sexual behavior, what you actually do, is a distinction that resonates with me and my journey the most. Some people have consistent attractions throughout their lives, while others experience changes. Both are normal variations in human sexuality. Sexual fluidity can involve changes in who someone is attracted to, how they identify sexually, or how they express their sexuality. People may find their attractions influenced by emotional connections, life circumstances, or personal growth. This fluidity can be subtle or dramatic, temporary or long-lasting. 2/3 of women change their identity labels at least once in their life, and a third changed labels 2 or more times. Dr. Diamond found that sexual attractions often remained more stable than identity labels, suggesting that some people change how they describe themselves as they find better language. Her research also found that many people's orientations remain stable throughout their life. So it reveals that human sexuality exists on a spectrum, where some people experience significant fluidity while others have attractions that remain constant. What about sexual fluidity in men, you may ask? Well, more recently, Dr. Diamond conducted a 6-year study on men because she started to notice that perhaps the boundaries for men aren't as rigid as they used to be. And in that study, she found a higher degree of fluidity in men's attractions. Straight men reported same-sex experiences, and gay-identified men reported fantasies about women. She feels that men are now giving themselves more permission to explore sexual fluidity, and I think that shows we are experiencing a cultural shift in our acceptance and understanding of sexuality, both for ourselves and for others. Once I learned the concept of sexual fluidity, I had the framework for the contradictions I'd always felt throughout my life. I experienced a few casual relationships with women in my teens and early 20s. However, those connections never progressed into what I consider a relationship. After those connections dissolved, I continued dating men for most of my adult life, while always having these feelings, along with attraction, towards women that I've met. This is where sexual fluidity plays a role in having the language for my feelings and attractions towards women. By learning that my sexuality can be fluid, it empowered me to honor what I've always felt, embrace where I am, and stay open to where I'm going. The reason sexual fluidity has had such a profound impact in my life is because it gives me the freedom to explore my sexuality in ways that feel authentic to me. For me, fluidity has become a part of how I live my life. By embracing flexibility and openness in creativity, my relationships, work, and self-expression. In my relationships, I am exploring polyamory, non-monogamy, where I can love without restriction. I get to explore different parts of myself with different people and to open myself up to other perspectives. I enjoy the warm and cozy comfort of a long-term love, the little rituals we develop, and understanding someone on a deep and intimate level, feeling secure and loved. And I also like flirting, feeling a new spark, kissing someone for the first time, learning all about a new person. I self-express through clothing, accessories, and hairstyles. I love to shop secondhand. It allows me to get creative and find fun pieces. That way, I get to create a look that matches how I feel day to day. Like today, for example, I have my space buns. This is one of my favorite ways to style my hair. When I wear it this way, I feel vibrant and playful. I always have a can of spray glitter that I spray on my hair and body, which make me feel whimsical. When I put this bright blue mascara on, I feel like I can take over the world with my bright blue lashes. Another fun way I like to express myself is through my eyeglasses. I always say that since I need to wear them, I might as well have fun with it. Today you will see I have my black heart glasses on, but my favorite ones are my pink heart-shaped glasses. I love these the most because they have these pink ombre lenses that allow me to see the world in a pink hue, literally. I chose this top specifically to express my colorful side. With all of my accessories, jewelry, hairstyle, and clothing I chose for today's presentation, I am expressing my excitement, enthusiasm towards my certification in the sexuality field. I currently work with Uber for its freedom and flexibility, which allows me to do what I want socially while also pursuing my certification and maintaining balance in my life. Uber has provided me experiences with the general population. I carry a pride flag in my car, which I noticed has given queer folks a safe space to open up to me. Also, the conversation can easily turn into talking about what else I am doing for work, so I take that opportunity to share that I am becoming a sexuality and relationship coach. This has brought up really unique conversations. Some of those conversations have included a person who is bisexual and would like to get into cross-dressing. Since I will be offering a shopping experience as a coach, they are looking forward to that service. The shopping service may include adult sex stores, department stores, vintage shops, whatever the client has a need for. I have encountered a few swingers. Some have shared their experiences in detail, while others only suggest that's what they're into. Numerous women and queer folks have expressed their desire to have me be their driver every time because they feel safe with me, and I'm super proud of that. Keep in mind, these rides are usually no more than 20 minutes. However, I did have a rider on a much longer trip, and I'd like to share that story. It really stuck with me because it involved both sexual fluidity and curiosity. This lady had identified as a lesbian most of her life and recently married a man. After telling her about my certification to become a sexuality and relationship coach, I said, here is a question that changed things for me. What is sex worth having for you? In Emily Nagoski's book, Come As You Are, there is a section in the worksheet book where she poses this question. And it certainly wasn't one of those questions where an answer comes quickly or easily, so she really sat and pondered it. And what came from that reflection was that she wants to have a conversation with her husband about prioritizing her pleasure. Here's someone who's in a committed marriage, and yet this question opened up something she hadn't fully articulated before, even to herself. And I think this speaks to something so many people experience but don't always have the language for. We can be in relationships, even loving ones, without really examining what we need, what we want, or what would make intimacy genuinely fulfilling for us. And for her, it meant realizing she needed to have a real conversation with her partner. Not accusatory, not blaming, just honest, about what she needs and about prioritizing her pleasure alongside his. I'm really glad she's giving herself permission to have that conversation. That question, what is sex worth having, isn't about being picky or demanding. It's about understanding your own worth and your own desires deeply enough to communicate them. It's about recognizing that pleasure isn't selfish, it's essential. During my own sexuality journey, my therapist and I came up with a worksheet that we created using some of Emily Nagoski's worksheets on sexual cues assessment and sexy context. When I started my journey to understanding my own sexuality, and that my pleasure matters too. The worksheet my therapist and I came up with asked for me to identify what sexual arousal, sexual desire, eroticism, and pleasure means to me. When I was having sex with men, I thought that it was my role to prioritize their pleasure. While I was able to experience some pleasure, I felt I wasn't able to communicate my own specific desires. Once I was able to understand all of those things about myself, I was able to better identify what sex is worth having for me and being able to choose partners that also believed in the importance of equality and pleasure. Today, sex worth having for me is both people being able to communicate their desires and prioritize experiencing pleasure together. Interactions like the ones I have in my Uber, and really any opportunity I get to bring up sexuality, has given me the motivation and encouragement to pursue my passion and become a coach, to walk alongside and assist people on their journey. Learning about sexual fluidity didn't just give me permission to explore my attractions, it fundamentally changed how I move through the world. It taught me that nothing about who we are has to be rigid or permanent. We can honor where we've been, embrace where we are, and stay open to where we're going. For me, fluidity has become a lens through which I see everything: my relationships, my work, my style, my sense of self. It's given me the courage to explore polyamory, to choose work that adapts to my needs rather than the other way around, and to express myself in ways that feel authentic in this moment, knowing that can change and it's perfectly okay. Dr. Diamond's research gave me language for what I'd always felt but couldn't name. And while it's real for me and for others, it's not universal. Both sexual fluidity and stable attraction are normal, natural variations in human sexuality. Whether your orientation has been rock solid since childhood or has evolved over decades is valid. This calls us towards greater compassion and openness, both towards ourselves and to others. It invites us to be more curious rather than judgmental, to recognize that the full spectrum of human sexuality is more complex and beautiful than a simple label can capture. Sexuality is deeply personal and sometimes mysterious, but always deserving of respect. As we continue to learn about human sexuality through research, stories, and our own experiences, the most important thing we can do is be open to science, to each other, and to ourselves. It will be my honor to help others discover buried desires, fluid attractions, and most importantly, being gentle to themselves in the process of their evolution with their sexuality. What excites me most is helping others discover this freedom, whether it's a conversation in my Uber about prioritizing pleasure or the coaching work I am pursuing. I want to create spaces where people feel safe to explore who they are without judgment or rigid definitions. And now I want to pass that gift forward, helping others understand that they don't have to fit into boxes, that change is natural, and that living authentically means giving yourself permission to evolve. Sexual fluidity isn't just an academic concept for me, it's a way of life, and I'm grateful every day for the freedom and acceptance it's brought me. I also wanted to take this opportunity to thank all of the wonderful people at SHA for giving me and so many others the opportunity to learn and be educated in the sexuality field. We will be out here changing lives and libidos. Thank you.